So cessation, the importance of cessation is there's a couple of main reasons. One is understanding that it's the driving force behind the absolute, which means it's the driving force for everything. And yet by saying it's a driving force is also a misstatement, because it's not actually doing anything. But somehow if you let your mind kind of drift a little bit out of concept and logic, out of physics and gravity, then when I tell you that cessation is the deepest peace and stillness that exists, and it's so deep that peace and stillness aren't even there. There's nothing there. But that nothingness, because it contains everything, because it's the energy, the driving force of everything, whether it's unconditioned or conditioned, it's incredibly powerful and potent. Nothing is very, very potent. When we work with the issue, which I mentioned will be in my new book, with hatred, when we work with hatred, it can open to feeling the authenticity of the power of the absolute. And when I say the power of the absolute, I'm meaning cessation. That is the most powerful force there is. Nothing is the most powerful force. And your mind may be trying to grab onto that, or feeling like I'm painting you in a corner, but it's a reality that nothing is where it all comes from and returns to. And that's the potency. And the accessing, the coming into contact or cessation, absorbing what we bring to what we bring to cessation, this is the mechanism. And we do this through tracing back the absence, the blackness of absence, and the peace and stillness. And that's the practice. In Theravada Buddhism, particularly as it's taught in Asia, cessation is foundational. It's a cornerstone of all Theravadan awakening. And interestingly, you can have multiple experiences of cessation that don't necessarily advance you on the map of awakening in Theravada Buddhism. So one could have a deep cessation experience, be recognized as a stream enterer, which is the first stage of awakening, and have 2 or 3 additional experiences of cessation that don't move them beyond the stream enterer awakening. Because there's still work to be done. There's realization and an integration. There's understanding. There's how does the personality now function with this new piece of foundational information. And only when we resolve and reconcile and digest all the different qualities that are necessary for the next stage of awakening will that experience of cessation open in that particular way that creates a shift to the next level of awakening. So cessation is terribly important, and unfortunately it's not talked about as much as it should be, and a lot of teachers shy away from it entirely. I'm one of those teachers, when I'm with other teachers, I'm asking them, like Theravadan teachers, I'm asking them, how do you recognize cessation? How do you, what do you use as a confirmation or a measuring device? And the main answer I got from a lot of the Western Theravadan teachers is that it's an art. So if it's an art, that means that it's up to the subjectiveness of each teacher. You're not having much in the way of standardization, which means their experience is all different. It hasn't been systematized in some way or understood in some organized fashion. So that makes it even more challenging when you have that level of experience. To me, this is one of the beauties of the Zen tradition that's focused so much on awakening enlightenment. There's a lot of language, there's a lot of structure, a lot of explanation that we have, even though It's still a mystery, and words never quite reach it. And the Theravadan does have a lot of good language, but there has to be enough experience in the teacher's part to where they understand the different levels of awakening and the aspects and what gets worked. It's quite complicated. But cessation is a lights out experience. The felt sense of cessation as we awareness and consciousness are drawn through peace and stillness and absence, deeper and deeper. And when we say deeper and deeper into the unmanifest, we're meaning quieter and quieter, deeper and deeper stillness, deeper and deeper peace. And it just begins that the stillness and peace begin to quiet down what's active in our interiority. If there's any kind of reflective capability, if there's anything going on with emotion or thought, those are going to quiet down. Thought and the language center, I don't know how to say it differently, but whatever contributes to our functioning of speech, we begin to feel that shutting off. It's like the words, if we're trying to state a sentence, the words will be quite far apart, or we won't be able to grab a word that we want. We'll have the feeling, but there won't be a word. So you can see we're getting below concept in the experience too. And as we draw deeper, there's a point when language will stop entirely, so it's complete stillness. And there will still be awareness, meaning we're aware of what's happening, and there's consciousness enough to where we have some ability to interpret a bit of what's going on. We may not have a full memory bank available, but we have enough available that we're making associations. And then consciousness begins to shut off. So any reflective capability, any comparison ability will shut off. And then there's just pure awareness. It's just direct awareness without any reflective capability. So it's pure, raw experience at that point of the stillness and the peace and cessation. And it's not fully cessation yet. Awareness will get drawn deeper into the peace and stillness, and finally awareness will shut off, and it will be what's called the dreamless sleep. It's very much like being asleep with no dreams. We don't have awareness of what's going on. Everything is black. If there are dreams, that means it's not cessation. There are never dreams in cessation. And if the experience is sustained enough, I've said before that in my working model, I think that the experience needs to be a minimum of 30 minutes on our clock for it to be significant enough to shift something important. And I've just seen with students who have had short 5-minute, 10-minute dips into cessation, it's potent, it's powerful, it's very impactful. It isn't changing enough to be an awakening for whatever reason. I don't know why that is, but that seems to be true. So it needs that sustained experience. And when it is sustained, when the person awakens from cessation, when awareness, consciousness, all that gets awakened, there's a knowing, a deep knowing, something extremely significant has happened. I have no idea what, but something very, very important has happened. And there's also a quality of refreshness. We feel rejuvenated in a way that's unfamiliar. So it has that quality too, like a new birth. In Theravada Buddhism, they'll talk about when one has a deep enough experience of cessation, where there's a recognized awakening, as it's a change of lineage, where we stop being a human, being an earthbound human, and we become a noble one. Something to that effect. I may have the languaging a little off, but there's a change in lineage, and it feels that way. There feels to be a different kind of family that we belong to. And then begins the process, just like the Zen awakening, where we have to integrate and learn how to function in our life with this new understanding. And that begins the process of integration and expression embodiment.